Welcome back. Long time no see.
Been a little while.
All right, we are now joined by the winner of this afternoon's NASCAR Xfinity Series race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's Austin Hill, driver of the number 21 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet. Austin, you just went back-to-back at your home track. How's it feel? And can you take us through those last few laps out there? I know we were all on the edge of our seat.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat, too. I was trying everything I could not to wreck. Yeah, you know, we had the red flag. My spotter, Derek Nealon, and I, we were talking it over, and we were like, we got to go bottom here, right? And he's like, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you got to go bottom. So we went bottom, obviously. Bottom had worked decent all day. I wouldn't say it was it's not where you wanted to be. You wanted to be at the top if you could. But I coming off of turn 2, I drug back, got a good push from the 11, and when I got into turn 3, I kind of shallowed up my entry a little bit into 3 to get away from the 81, and somehow I cleared him, and when I cleared him, he crossed me over. I was surprised that whoever's behind him stuck with me, and then from then on up until the white flag lap, I was just kind of controlling the lanes, controlling the runs that were coming, and then for whatever reason, the runs were a lot different this weekend than what I've seen in the past here at Atlanta. They were a lot stronger. It was hard to kind of lift as you're leading and create almost a bubble on the back of your car and get in that buffer zone where they can't really bust the bubble. It seemed like at will they could just bust the bubble if they wanted to. So I don't know if it was just the product of the racing that we had today, but he had a huge run coming back to the white into 3 and had me jacked up pretty good. He was doing everything that he needed to do to try to win the race, and I was sideways. He got underneath me. I was very surprised the 26 went with me, and right at the start-finish line, I'm sideways as the 26 is pushing me. 26 got to my right rear, and I thought I screwed up there, and I tried to run him up the hill a little bit just to make him get a little tighter, a little loose, because it seemed like guys that would get underneath me that would run the bottom, if they ran up the hill and made me run up the hill, I would either get loose or tight, depending on the situation, and I'd have to lift, and that would allow them to clear. So I was trying to do that, and he ended up hitting the fence. I didn't want that to happen. I don't need any enemies going into these playoffs, but I was doing everything in my power to win the race. As soon as I saw that happen, I saw the 48 didn't have much momentum. It was just flat out all the way until I got back to the line. I figured that nobody was going to get a run to get back to us, and such a special win. I mean, 50-year anniversary. We had the gold car. That's the only time we're running the gold car all year for Bennett. And to have over 500 employees, family, friends, truckers, just all in attendance, and to get the job done for Bennett, Transportation and Logistics, it means the world to me. Just, everyone at RCR, ECR Engines, Chevrolet, we had to work for that one. The car didn't drive the best all day. But we were there when it mattered.
Definitely a special win. All right, we'll open up to questions. We'll start with Jerry, then go to Jacob. Jerry, right here.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires.net. We felt y'all were going to wreck too, so don't feel bad. I mean, how did you guys how did you not wreck? I mean, you guys were all over each other, and you mentioned the way the track was handling. What's it feel like out there? Because obviously we have the Cup race tomorrow. Can those guys expect something a little different now?
Well, I mean, I know the Cup cars are totally different than the Xfinity cars. The Xfinity cars, you can kind of get loose with them and slide them around a lot, and you can laterally slide the tires across the racetrack. The Cup cars, once you get loose, it's just instant. It's kind of like a light switch when you have a ton of grip in the Cup car until you don't. So I don't know how much of it's going to play a factor. I do think that the drivability that you have in your car and handling is going to play a factor. You still need a car that can be fast, though, so there's a mixture. We were pretty trimmed out. We kind of came here a little tighter balance-wise than what we came in the past, and that still wasn't enough. We knew that it being in the 80s was probably going to cause a little bit of havoc as far as the track aging a little bit more, and it being a day race. We thought the handling was going to be an issue, and it sure was. I mean, we tightened up all day trying to get the car tight enough for me. It never got tight enough for me, and like I said, it was just out of control all race long. I don't know how we didn't have more big wrecks than what we had. Obviously, we had that one big wreck getting into 3. That kind of propelled me into 2nd. That kind of opened the door up for me because when I was running 5th, I still think we would have had a shot at winning. It was going to be a lot harder. And then when I got to 2nd, I knew that the door opened and I had to pounce when it mattered most. But, yeah, I think for tomorrow, I think handling is going to be an issue. I just don't know if it's going to be as much of an issue as it was today for the Xfinity cars.
Okay, let's go to Jacob next.
Jacob Seelman, Raceface Digital Austin. First, in regards to the final lap, did you feel Corey get to your fender in 1 and 2 there, or was that a case of he got there so fast that it kind of all happened too quickly?
Yeah, I mean, so when I was leading, I wasn't ever running like the fence. I was always running like that last hash mark that's in the corner. I was running kind of on it or maybe right below it. And when I got clear of the 81, I was watching the 26, but he got to my right rear like as soon as I got in the corner. So what was happening was when I was leading, most of the time I would get these surges on entry where I would drive away from the guys behind me. Well, for that instance, and even turn 3 coming to the white, they had a big surge and they got to me and they stayed connected. Well, when he got to me and was pushing me down the straightaway, I figured when we got detached I'm wide open. I figured I'm going to get a little bit of a gap on him because I think the 81 was underneath him at that point. Somehow it didn't drag him back, and he still had forward momentum. And when he got to my right rear, my spotter's like yelling at me like, he's there, outside, like he's on your right rear. And so I'm looking in the mirror, but I'm trying to like run him to where he's uncomfortable. And then he got in the wall. I don't know if we touched or not. I haven't seen the replay, but I didn't want that to happen. I wanted us to race it out. But at that moment in the race, and it's white flag, you're doing everything it takes to win the race, and we got the job done when it mattered.
And he said as much on pit road, too, that if the roles were reversed, he probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good to hear that from him. I hope he don't have any hard feelings. It's just one of those things. It's last lap, everybody's going for it, and, you're just doing all you can to win the race, and he had a great race all day. It just didn't work out for him.
Have you petitioned Brandon Hutchinson yet to maybe give you the deed to this racetrack? I mean, four wins and 6 Xfinity starts here. I don't know if you know what makes you so good here, or if it's just home field advantage. But
yeah, I mean, that's funny you say that. He when I was walking down from intros, he kind of gave me like a 4 sign, and I kind of knew what that meant. Like, we might get number 4 today. And sure enough, it happened. I don't know what it is about Atlanta, just something about this place. Ever since they changed the configuration, it's just fit RCR's drive, the way that they build the race cars, my driving style. And in saying that, we had speed today, but the car definitely wasn't to my liking. So we had to dig deep for that one. I mean, we were elbows up. I cinched the belts a little tighter on that restart because I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I'm like, I don't know if they showed the in-car cam or anything like that, but I have an in-car that I ran all race. I am swatting flies in there all race long, just trying to control this race car. But, I mean, there again, I mean, it drove good enough for me to win the race. So we got the job done, like I said, when it mattered most.
Thank you, Austin. I'm Ray Akers, Skyview Sports. You led the race one time today for the last 6 laps. You kind of feel like with your experience you've had with your other victories, you're kind of playing with house money because you've been very analytical on you're holding different people off. You really think that experience played a role in the victory today?
Yeah, I mean, it could have played a little bit of a role. I think that, like I said, Derek Nealon, my spotter, and I, we just do a really good job working together. There's a lot of times that when he keys up on the radio, before he even says what he's going to say, I already know what he's saying. Prime example, coming off of turn 2, I could tell that I got detached from the 11 car, and I'm already dragging the brake like a split second before he comes over the radio, and he's like, hey, drag brake. We need to keep the 11. We got to have a run down the back. I was already dragging brake probably a second before he said that. So the communication between him and I just go a very long way. I mean, if you and your spotter don't work well together, it makes it really tough on these super speedways for it to work out. I have a lot of trust in him. He has a lot of trust in me. And I think that was the difference maker today is I knew when to drag back. I knew when to get the push. I knew when to get the run to get the lead. And then it was just a dogfight from then on. Like, you just had to do everything you could not to lose the lead once you got it on that restart. Yep, thanks.
Yeah, Anthony Rhodes with the Henry Herald and Clayton News Daily. I'm looking at an old stat book from here. Your first 2 Bandolero races were in 2004 here in Thursday Thunder. what are your thoughts about how your racing career has progressed in the last 20 years?
Yeah, I mean it's been a wild ride. There's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been a lot of heartbreaks, a lot of victories and cheers and everything in between. As I was growing up racing, I ran thousands and thousands of laps around this little quarter-mile racetrack and a road course that they used to run out in the infield where the fans are. Running Bandoleros and legend cars, it was kind of my dream all throughout running the quarter mile to run the big track one day. And to sit here and say that I've won 4 times here at my home racetrack on the big track is something that if you would have told me that a few years ago, I would have, told you you were crazy. Like that's just really hard to do, right? I mean, it's hard to win that many times at a certain racetrack. But it's just fit my driving style. It's fit the way the configuration is, the way that RCR goes about bringing race cars to the racetrack, ECR engines, and we've just figured it out. I mean, we really have. There's still things that we're learning each and every race, and like I said, this one wasn't easy. We had to get our elbows up on it. But for us to win as many times as we did, and for me 20 years ago, like you said, to be here racing Bandoleros and be here where I am today, it is truly special.
And also, any thoughts on other Georgia drivers being in the mix today, Corey and Chandler being in there as well?
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about that until somebody mentioned it to me in Victory Lane that, Corey was up there, Chandler was up there, and we were all battling. We're all Georgia-born. That's really neat. It's hard to do. It's hard to, have a hometown racetrack and have 3 of us battling out for the win, so that was something special to watch.
Go to John, Bob, and then make our way to the back.
Johnny Bial drivers, you partially addressed this already, but after the race, Josh Williams said he felt like, some of the Chevy guys were out for themselves, and then Parker said it was just more of a product of one lane working better than the other. Can I get your perspective on what is more accurate description?
Well, I mean, I had a Toyota push me to the win, so, I mean, the 81 is a Toyota, right? He pushed me getting into 3, and I'm sideways. He gets underneath me doing his job. And then when he gets beside me, I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble here because the 26, he's a Toyota. He's going to go with the 81. And he stays with me. I don't know if he was having some handling issues where he couldn't just turn down there and help the 81. He had to help me. But when he stayed with me, I was like, all right, that's fine by me. So I do think a lot of that was going on where, everyone was somewhat out for themselves. I tried really hard to work with some of the Chevy guys. If a Ford pulled out of line, and there was a Chevy in front of me, I would push the Chevy. It's not like I'm just going to turn left, push the Ford. There were instances where the line on the top stacked up, and I would have a big run, and I'd drop to the bottom, and there might have been a Ford or a Chevy in front of me. And at that point, it's just one of those things where you get a run, and you don't want to put yourself in a bad spot, so you just turn left and hope it works. I know I turned left on my teammate a few times. Didn't screw him over or nothing. I kind of got in front of him, and I thought him and I worked well together for the most part today. There was times that him and I wasn't around each other. So I do think Atlanta in general has more of a product that you're not really looking at, does that guy have a bow tie, or does that guy have a Toyota sticker, does that guy have a Ford sticker? It's what kind of run can you generate to get to the lead and fill a hole, because this type of racing is just so much different than Daytona and Talladega.
Let's go to Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. I want to say the Allgaier Custer deal happened pretty much right in front of you. What did you see, and were you surprised? They both were surprised that little contact actually caused a flat tire.
Yeah. So the 7 was like really good all day. He could be really tight to somebody. He was behind me a good bit in stage 1 and had me like dead sideways a lot of the time because he could poke a headlight out and get to my left rear and get me really loose. And he was being really aggressive all day. I'd have to look back at the replay. I know I was right directly behind it. It almost looked like right when he touched the 00 and went to get off of him, it's like the 98 might have like got to his right rear and pulled him, and it sucked him into the wall or into the 98 and the 00. But yeah, I mean, for it to blow you said it blew his tire. For it to blow his tire like it did, I thought it was minimal contact for that to happen. So, yeah, I was surprised by that. I wasn't surprised that the wreck happened. I thought it was coming. You could tell that like it was brewing each and every lap, that something was going to happen, whether it be behind me or in front of me. And luckily enough, we missed it.
Let's go over here to the back.
Yes, Alfred Romero, Southern Race Week Radio. I know it's a big deal to win your home track. You've done that a lot, but for you to have a sponsor that's right in the backyard here in Henry County, how important is for you, not for your win, but for the win for Bennett, and having a sponsor that's also Georgia-born just as you are as well?
Yeah, I think it goes a long way. You know, I said it in one of my interviews in Victory Lane that we, over these last 3 years, we've grown as a sponsor to almost like a family. You know, I mean, when we see everyone at Bennett, you know, Lynette, all of them, you just have that feeling of, yes, it's a partnership, yes, it's sponsorship, but you have that family atmosphere, and I think that goes a long way. And that was weighing hard on me. Like, when I had that last restart, I'm like, if I get the lead here, I got to do everything, which I'm going to do everything I can regardless, but it kind of, like, amped up the pressure even more for me to get the job done, because when I got the lead, I knew we had the gold paint scheme. We're not running it the rest of the year. You know, it's the only time we're running it. 50-year anniversary. There was over, like I said, 500 people here celebrating the weekend. And for us to do what we did, it's very hard to do. And they were so excited, so ecstatic. So for that to happen the way it did is very, very special to myself and to everyone at Bennett.
Okay, let's come up here to the front.
Not a true question, Austin. Just wanted you to know that the Dogs won 48-3 today.
Love it. I love it. I was actually asking my PR that earlier when I was walking over here. I'm like, how'd the Dogs do?
Well, 48-3.
That's right.
Tennessee
Go
Tech,
Dogs.
though.
I mean, yeah.
Notre Dame
whoop
just
Clemson,
lost to
so-
Northern Illinois, though. Figured
Wow.
you'd be interested in that.
Wow.
Actual question: what was it like having your son in the car as you came to Victory Lane?
Yeah, first time doing something like that. That was really cool. I couldn't tell if he was like nervous or if he was excited about it. It seemed like he was excited about it, but yeah, I don't know if he knew exactly what was going on, but he had a fun time riding in the car with me.
All right, Austin, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.